Have you ever made just a terrible impulsive decision in the heat of the moment? Like, especially one involving money.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we all have, right?
Right. You know the exact feeling. It starts with this sudden rush of adrenaline, and you have this completely irrational certainty that you need to act right this second.
Yeah, and then inevitably, like 10 minutes later, you get hit with that crushing realization of what you just did.
Exactly. It's the worst. And, if you take that exact emotional roller coaster and you multiply the stakes by 100, well, you basically have the cryptocurrency trading world.
You really do. I mean, the crypto market never sleeps. It operates with just immense volatility, and it ruthlessly preys on basically human cognitive biases, fear and greed, mostly.
Right. And that sets up our mission for this deep dive. Today, we're examining the official pre-sale materials and white papers for a new cryptocurrency platform. It's called BLONEX, along with its native utility token, BLNF.
Yeah, and to get a sense of how the actual trading community is, processing this, we're also bringing in some insights from a recent YouTube review.
Right, by a creator known as A Blockwave.
Exactly. So we kind of have the architectural blueprints from the developers right alongside that practical execution-focused perspective of an active trader.
And the core premise of BLONEX is, well, it's what makes this material so compelling, honestly. What if an exchange used artificial intelligence not to predict the market for you, but to actually protect you from your own worst habits?
Which is such a shift. We are so used to AI being pitched as an oracle, right? Like
Yep.
some black box algorithm that promises alpha and tells you exactly when to long or short.
Totally.
But BLONEX is explicitly rejecting that premise. They're flipping the script entirely to focus on behavioral economics and self-policing.
But before we can fully grasp how this AI protects you, we really need to look at the execution environment itself. Like, we have to establish exactly what you're doing on this platform and why it requires such aggressive risk management.
Yeah, because BLONEX isn't just some basic fiat on-ramp where you buy and hold.
No, not at all. They define themselves in the documentation as a derivatives first exchange.
Right, operating on the BNB Smart Chain, Chain ID 56 for those keeping track. And this platform is engineered for complex, high-velocity financial instruments.
I mean, they offer standard spot trading, sure, but their primary focus is on up-down directional predictions and perpetual futures.
And this is where the danger level just spikes, because they offer up to 125x leverage on these perpetuals.
Which is wild. Like, we all know the math of leverage, but the psychological reality of controlling a position 125 times larger than your margin, that's intense.
Incredibly intense. If the market moves against you by even a fraction of a percent, your margin is wiped out. You are liquidated instantly.
Exactly. It's an incredibly unforgiving arena. I mean, giving a regular everyday trader access to 125x leverage, it feels exactly like handing them the keys to a Formula One car.
That is a great way to put it.
Right. Like, it's thrilling, the speed is unmatched, but it's practically guaranteed you'll crash into a wall if you don't have, like, professional state-of-the-art safety systems in place.
Yeah, and to support that kind of speed and to make sure the platform itself doesn't cause the crash, BLONEX had to build out some serious back-end infrastructure.
Oh, for sure.
The source documents detail this sub-10 millisecond matching speed for trades, and that's alongside a 99.9% uptime guarantee.
Which you need at that speed.
Absolutely. When you're running high leverage, like a 50 millisecond delay during a volatility spike, that is literally the difference between a profitable exit and a total liquidation.
So they are heavily fortifying the plumbing, basically.
They have to. And this was a point heavily emphasized in that A Blockwave YouTube review, actually. The reviewer noted that being a trader today is uniquely challenging just because of the sheer fragmentation of data and execution speeds.
Right, bouncing between tabs and tools.
Exactly. So the reviewer really appreciated that BLONEX is aggregating high-speed execution tools and real-time market data into just one unified interface. It reduces the latency between, seeing an opportunity and actually executing on it.
So, okay, we have the Formula One car. It's fast, dangerous, and it's sitting on top of this highly optimized engine. That brings us to BLONEX's standout feature, which is the ultimate safety system for this vehicle. Their AI trading guardrails.
The digital chaperone, as it were. And it's important to note the official materials go out of their way to establish a very clear boundary here. This AI does not predict market movements.
They repeat that constantly throughout the documentation.
Yeah, I mean, it manages legal liability, sure, but it also resets user expectations. What this algorithm actually does is enforce the parameters that you, the trader, configure for yourself during a period of zero emotional tilt.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we've all constructed trading plans on a Sunday afternoon, right?
Right.
Like, I'm only going to risk 5% of my portfolio this week, or I will never enter a position without a hard stop loss.
Yep, we've all been there.
And then Monday morning arrives, the market gaps down, the adrenaline spikes, and you just completely abandon the plan.
Exactly. And BLONEX AI targets those specific psychological failures. It monitors your API calls and your order flow to prevent you from, say, entering a position without a stop loss attached.
Or stopping you from creeping up your leverage just because you strung together 3 winning trades and suddenly you feel invincible.
Yes. But most critically, it targets revenge trading.
Oh man, the absolute destroyer of portfolios.
It really is. You take a hit, your position is liquidated, and your immediate, completely irrational response is to open a max leverage position in the opposite direction just to win it back instantly.
Right, the worst thing you could possibly do.
So the AI is looking for that specific post-liquidation pattern. It measures the time decay between a realized loss and your next order submission. It analyzes sudden, uncharacteristic spikes in your position sizing relative to your historical average.
Wow. And based on these metrics, the system calculates what they call a discipline score.
Precisely. So it tracks your compliance rates and generates these behavioral quality reports. It's literally grading the methodology of how you trade rather than just outputting a profit and loss statement.
Wait, okay, so let me get the mechanics of this straight. I am actively setting up a system that literally locks me out of my own account if I start trading emotionally.
That's the idea. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like installing a breathalyzer on a brokerage account.
I love that. And the mechanics back up that analogy perfectly, actually. The system operates on 2 distinct tiers of enforcement. There's beginner mode, which acts as a soft intervention.
Okay, so how does that work?
So it detects the revenge trade pattern and triggers a UI warning. It basically says, hey, you are currently violating your own predefined risk parameter. Do you wish to proceed?
So you still retain the autonomy to override the warning if you really want to.
Exactly. But then there is pro mode, where you completely surrender that autonomy.
Oh boy.
Yeah. In pro mode, the system engages hard enforcement at the protocol level. If you attempt to execute a trade that violates your preset rules, the AI just outright rejects the order.
Wait, really? No emergency overrides available in the heat of the moment?
None. There are no exceptions. You are blocked from execution until you formally adjust your trading plan, which intentionally requires a mandatory cooldown period.
That is wild. You are intentionally removing your own agency because you recognize that you just cannot be trusted when the adrenaline is pumping.
Yeah, the developers clearly analyzed user data and realized that the primary threat to a trader's longevity isn't, misreading order block flow or macroeconomic shows. The primary threat is human psychology.
We're our own worst enemies.
Consistently. In these high-stakes, high-frequency environments, we just self-sabotage. So this AI is entirely built around mitigating that cognitive bias.
Okay, so if this AI is the ultimate safety system, the next logical question is how a user actually accesses these specific enforcement mechanisms, right? And that brings us to the ecosystem's native token, BLON.
Right. BLON is a BEP20 utility token and has a fixed total supply of 1 billion tokens. Its primary function within the ecosystem is to act as the key that unlocks the deeper, more granular layers of this AI system.
Yeah, the sources outline a very specific tier system. Like the core AI rule enforcement, the basic guardrails, those are free for everyone utilizing the exchange. But holding the BLON token in your connected wallet, that increases the resolution and strictness of the AI's capabilities.
It basically dictates how complex you can make your digital chaperone.
Right, and breaking down these tiers shows how they're basically gamifying discipline. It starts at the 1K BLON tier, which is the basic tier.
And that gives you standard scenario validations, weekly behavioral reports, and a 5% reduction in trading fees.
Which is huge. Interestingly, the A-Blockwave YouTube review zeroed right in on that 5% fee reduction. I mean, for active, high-frequency day traders, shaving 5% off execution costs across hundreds of trades a week, that's a massive structural advantage.
Oh, it significantly lowers the friction of maintaining high volume on the platform. Then, moving up, you have the 10K BLON tier, which is the enhanced tier. This unlocks compound, multivariable rules. You get daily behavioral reports instead of weekly. And crucially, you can program custom cooldown periods.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So if the algorithm detects you've lost 2 consecutive trades, it can enforce a mandatory 2-hour lockout, forcing you to just walk away from the screen.
Honestly, most of us probably need that enforced walk. And
Yeah.
then there's the maximum tier, right? Requiring a holding of 100K bill on.
Yep. That one offers real-time feedback, the most aggressive blocking capabilities available in Pro mode, and full scenario complexity for your risk parameters.
But the token utility extends beyond just the AI gating, doesn't it? Like, it's designed to create a sticky ecosystem overall.
It is. There's a decentralized governance component. Holding BLON grants you voting rights on platform initiatives, like which new token assets are listed for trading on the exchange.
And the source documentation specifically notes that they've implemented voting caps, right? To prevent whales from monopolizing policy decisions and pushing through self-serving listings.
Exactly, a very necessary safeguard. There are also reward boosts, offering yield multipliers in the platform's staking and rewards center. But the feature that really stands out in the documentation is what they're calling loss recovery campaigns.
Yeah, that requires some careful unpacking based on their legal disclaimers because it sounds almost too good to be true.
Right. They are crystal clear here. BLONEX does not guarantee any compensation for your trading losses.
Let's make sure we underline that.
Yes. However, they do allocate a portion of their treasury to run periodic campaigns designed to help users, quote, recover discipline after a drawdown.
So how does that work in practice?
Well, if you're operating in the 1K tier, you might be eligible to claim up to $50 in trading credits after a qualifying loss. If you hold the 5K tier, that credit limit jumps to $100.
So it basically functions as a psychological reset button funded by the exchange to keep users engaged rather than, rage quitting the platform.
Exactly. But we also have to look at the structural reality of the BLON token itself. The source text is heavily insulated with legal disclaimers.
Oh, heavily.
BLON is strictly classified as a utility asset. It is not a security. It grants no equity in the BLONEX corporate entity. There are no dividends, and there's no revenue sharing model.
So its entire value proposition is anchored exclusively to accessing the efficiency and safety infrastructure of the exchange itself.
Correct.
So for a listener looking at how a utility token with these specific sinks enters the open market, we need to examine the mechanics of the ongoing BLON presale and the overarching roadmap.
Yeah, the presale basically operates as the primary bootstrapping mechanism for liquidity and user acquisition before the ecosystem fully matures, and they're executing a 9-stage presale structure featuring a programmed price increase at every single stage.
And we can actually track this progression across our different sources. Like the YouTube video by A Blockwave, which was recorded a bit earlier in the cycle, highlighted that the presale was sitting at stage 2, with a token price of 10 cents.
Right.
Fast forward to the current official presale site data, and it has advanced. They're currently operating in stage 3, and the price is now 15 cents.
And the published roadmap projects this price escalation continuing all the way to a final stage 9 price of 45 cents before the token generation event.
Wow.
Yeah, that represents an 800% increase from the initial stage 1 entry price of 5 cents.
Yeah.
The game theory they're deploying here is highly aggressive. They are heavily incentivizing and rewarding early capital allocation.
Let's analyze the tokenomics breakdown for a second. Like, where exactly are these 1 billion tokens going?
Okay, so 25%, which is 250 million tokens, are allocated to this presale. Another 25% is locked into the reward center to fund those multipliers and loss recovery campaigns.
Okay, making sense so far.
Then 15% is earmarked for platform operations, 10% for the broader ecosystem development, 10% sits in a strategic reserve, 10% is dedicated to marketing, and finally 5% is allocated to the core team.
Wait, only 5% to the team?
Yeah, that 5% team allocation is statistically quite low when benchmarked against contemporary crypto projects. I mean, they frequently reserve insider allocations in the 15 to 20% range.
Right, which always feels a bit sketchy.
Exactly. So this signals an attempt to build community trust by limiting insider concentration. But the absolute critical mechanic to understand in this tokenomic model is the vesting schedule.
Because, yeah, if you acquire these tokens in the presale at a massive discount, say at 10 cents, when the final stage is 45 cents, you can't simply dump them into the liquidity pool the second the platform goes live.
No, you definitely cannot.
They've engineered a vesting schedule explicitly designed to prevent those immediate cascading sell-offs that typically just crash a token's price post-launch.
Right. So the lockup works like this. At the token generation event, or TGE, Pre-sale participants receive exactly 15% of their total purchase tokens immediately.
Okay, so if I do a 10,000 token purchase, that nets me 1,500 liquid tokens on day one.
Exactly. And the remaining 85% is placed into a smart contract lockup. Those tokens then vest linearly over the subsequent 12 months.
Right. Yeah.
Mathematically, that results in approximately 7.08% of your remaining allocation unlocking month over month for a full year.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate and push back on this structure.
Go for it. You're telling me my assets are effectively locked in a smart contract and trickled out to me over a full 12 months in a market where narrative cycles and liquidity move at lightning speed.
Well, yes.
Is capturing a discounted entry price during a pre-sale actually worth absorbing that massive risk of illiquidity? I mean, you're essentially betting that the platform retains its user base for a whole year.
I get that. And that is the fundamental tension of any pre-sale participation, right? You're sacrificing immediate liquidity for a lower cost basis. However, BLONEX has integrated a very clever utility mechanic to mitigate that specific friction.
Oh.
Yeah, the source materials are explicit here. All exchange benefits, the 5% fee discounts, the governance voting rights, and most importantly, the AI tier access remain fully active for your entire balance, even while the majority of your tokens are still locked in the vesting schedule.
Oh, wow. Okay, that completely changes the calculus. So I don't need the tokens sitting liquid in my MetaMask to activate the breathalyzer.
The platform's backend recognizes my total held allocation, granting me the maximum tier benefits immediately, even if I can't financially liquidate those tokens yet.
Spot on. You capture the platform utility instantly while the financial liquidity is distributed on a curve. It really aligns the incentives of the trader with the long-term health of the protocol.
That is genuinely smart. So looking at their timeline, how does this rollout map against the roadmap provided in the sources?
Well, Q1 of 2026 was defined as the prep phase, finalizing the backend, deploying the smart contracts, and executing security audits.
Right.
Then Q2 of 2026 transitioned into the launch phase, where the derivatives exchange actually went live, introducing the baseline fee discounts and the staking protocols.
And that places us exactly where the documentation indicates they are right now. Q3 2026, the expand phase.
Yes.
This quarter is focused on actively rolling out the governance listing votes and, crucially, fully integrating the AI assist system that enforces those behavioral guardrails we've been talking about.
Exactly. And moving forward, Q4 2026 is slated for scaling through strategic partnerships. Then, looking out to 2027 and beyond, they enter the optimize phase, which is focused on full global expansion and iterating on their security infrastructure.
Now, for anyone looking to get involved, the 8-block wave review also touched on the execution side for anyone interacting with this ecosystem. Funding your interaction requires bridging assets, right?
Yeah, typically utilizing BNB for gas and USDT for stable execution, done directly through standard Web3 infrastructure, like MetaMask or Trust Wallet.
Right, so it utilizes standard decentralized finance rails. You are bypassing legacy banking infrastructure entirely to interact directly with the smart contracts on the BNB chain.
Which is par for the course in Web3, but important to note for newcomers.
Definitely. So pulling all of this analysis together, BLONEX really represents a highly calculated experiment in behavioral finance.
It does.
On one side of the equation, you have the absolute wild west of decentralized derivatives trading. I mean, 125x leverage, perpetual futures, sub-10 millisecond execution, split-second liquidations. It's an arena that demands total focus and carries immense financial risk.
And then, on the other side of the equation, you have this strict, token-gated artificial intelligence system layered directly over that execution engine.
Yep.
It is a system engineered specifically to act as a digital conscience, forcing traders to abide by the risk parameters they established before the adrenaline hit.
Right.
They're deploying advanced machine learning not to extract alpha from the market, but to police the psychological failures of the user.
The breathalyzer on the brokerage account.
Exactly. And it leaves you with this final provocative thought to chew on regarding where this technology is heading. I mean, if we're currently at the point where we are willingly building complex artificial intelligence systems specifically to overrule our own emotional impulses in high-stakes financial markets, where else in our daily lives might we soon beg algorithms to save us from ourselves? Ooh, that's a good question.
Right. Will our smart refrigerators lock down at midnight to prevent binge eating? Will our phones analyze our biometrics and physically block us from texting an ex when it detects an emotional tilt? We are rapidly entering an era where we actively outsource our own self-control to the machine.
A fascinating and honestly incredibly complex behavioral frontier.
It really is. Well, thank you for joining us on this exploration, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive. Remember that feeling of impulsive dread we talked about at the start? Maybe the machines are exactly what we need to finally keep it at bay.